All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Finance Committee meeting for September 14th here at the Carter Room. I'm going to go over the agenda real quick. We still have two committee members en route, so you'll see them kind of meander in here, hopefully here in a few minutes. We've got Scott with us, and we've got Andrew here with us as well. We're going to review and vote on the recommendations for special town meeting articles, which are all in front of us right now. We are then going to discuss with Andrew the Vadar accounting software access for the statistician, and then we'll finish up with an open discussion here in the committee about a finance committee open items parking lot, in quotes, a place for us to really keep all the items that we want to discuss week over week so we don't lose track of that stuff. We'll hit liaison reports, correspondence, and I don't believe there's any minutes to review, and Andrew's not here to ask, so I guess we'll find out when he gets here. Anything before we jump into the very procedural evening that we have in front of us? No? Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is I'll read the article, and then someone here will start a motion to approve or recommend or not recommend. Somebody will second, and then we'll open it up for discussion. At that point, we'll have discussion, and then we'll take a vote. If the discussion kind of trends toward the negative, then we'll rescind the motion if it was to approve, and then we'll move on to the next article. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, perfect. And Matt has joined us. Welcome, Matt. All right, so Article 1, supplement the building department budget to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate an additional $35,000 for building department salaries and $23,000 for building department expenses for the fiscal year 2023 budget, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to approve Article 1.
Seconded?
Second.
So we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And Andrew would abstain. And so we are recommending approval. Is there a way to end that?
Just
Recommending approval?
basically saying, yeah, we recommend approval.
It just didn't sound
And you don't
like
have
that.
to say abstain for someone that's not here.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Article 2, Enterprise Fund Appropriation Revision, to see if the town will vote to amend the vote taken under Article 1 at the April 4th, 2022 annual town meeting to correct the funding sources for the FY 2023 Cable Access Enterprise Fund by specifying that the Cable Enterprise Fund budget will be funded with $91,400 of cable retained earnings and with $282,500 from anticipated revenues as shown below, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to recommend approval of Article 2.
Second?
It is seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Discussion.
Oh, gosh, sorry. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, can I just, did we confirm with the cable advisory?
Yes, they're aware.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And it passes. We approve that. Article 3, account consolidation. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sums of money between and among the various accounts in the FY 2023 budget for the purpose of consolidating certain common expenses within a single line item instead of as line items within each department, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to approve for discussion purposes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Open for discussion?
Can you just explain that a little bit better? Scott seems,
I'm
or
gonna
Andrew, it's
definitely
just
turn this over to Andrew.
vague.
So in front of you, there should be a listing of accounts.
Yes.
And basically what's happening is that there are certain expenses that each department has their own line item for. And what we'd like to do is consolidate them into a single account that all departments would have access to. Just as an example, electricity in the town is paid for out of one line item in the town office building budget, and we just want to move all these accounts to a single line item, so it's easier to manage.
So you don't have to state in the, or will that come in the motion, stating which accounts are being consolidated?
That was my question too.
Yeah, that would be our intention, would be at the motion, and then at town meeting, we would have the handout that will also specify, and actually, it'll be on the website probably next week. I'm going to put an explanation for each one of these, that it'll show that line item that it's coming from and where it's going to.
So the motion will specify, like, per the handout or something
I
to
think
that-
we'll
to
talk
that
to
effect?
Greg, the best way to
'Cause-
frame it, or it may be to, you may have to go line by line and say to, just read from these lines to, and there'll only be one line that it's going to.
When will we have that information, the wording,
Town
At
meeting-ish?
town meeting.
like before
Yeah.
town meeting,
Oh,
a
yeah.
meeting before town meeting?
Yeah, probably like that night, yeah. If I can get anything, in the meantime from Greg, we will. I know he's working on it.
I'm guessing Barbara probably has the same concern as I do, but the wording that's on the article right here could mean almost anything being moved from one place to another. So
Right, so I'm not comfortable to vote on it tonight, and just until we have, that's just me, everyone else can make up their own mind. I did motion to approve, but I'm just, with the
Full of
bigger
consistency.
wording, I prefer to cast my vote.
And we could probably, then I think, at town meeting.
Like our meeting before town meeting.
Right, we'll definitely have it for that, and then I think whatever language we'd have to amend in this,
So,
consolidating instead of certain common expenses, it could be we could amend it to say the specific common expenses, and then we can also, we'll have the exact language from which line item to where. I think that's easy enough to have for town meeting,
yeah,
for pre-town
the
meeting.
only, the downside to it is it wouldn't make it in our published recommendations. If we were to go that route, what I was suggesting, it wouldn't make it to our,
Yeah.
So this is just to make it easier for everybody to like pay things, right?
Right.
Can't you guys do that on the back end and show us what we want to see, the way we've always seen it? Like, for instance, what would be the reason that anybody would approve and say yes to this? Like at home, if you had 2 credit cards, or you gave a credit card to somebody else, at the end of the month, you're going to have 1 credit card bill. It's going to say it's $20,000, $5,000, whatever. Wouldn't you want to know what the other person spent?
We'll still be able to track that.
Yeah,
It just,
no, I don't
yeah.
mean track it, I mean like report it, the way we've always seen it. So.
Well, we'll still be able to give you that information, yes.
Yeah, so, but, again, just for like budgeting and understanding purposes, if for some reason, again, these are all theoreticals, if fire's expense goes from 15 grand to 30 grand, but the overall budget goes up by 15 grand, because the number's larger, it looks smaller. It's all my point of like, is this 100% needed? Is this something that's definitely needed?
Well, we started the transition with the electricity budget.
Yeah.
So this is just making that in line with that change.
So, Andrew, I think I can.
Sorry, I didn't put that one on.
Give an analogy for Greg. That might help.
I got it.
I think this is more along the lines of, like, if you were talking about for your house, if you bought light bulbs, but you had an account, and this is my account for light bulbs for the upstairs bathroom.
Yes.
And here's my account for light bulbs for the bedroom.
Yep.
And he's saying just have an account for light bulbs for the house, and you still record where each one is going.
Sure.
But it's just one account for light bulbs.
And
Yeah, yeah.
instead of paying each
Well,
one
more
separately.
accounting ease is that.
Right.
Efficiency.
And we can still get this.
Yeah, yeah,
separate.
my only argument to the entire thing is we still just need to see that.
You will still get.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day,
And
if
that
if it's
was
for ease
all
for you
that-
guys to do it, I don't, sure. do it,
This
but
committee, and I mean, we could make it available to anybody who wants to see
I
it.
just want to make sure.
I had a question, it might just be structure of the wording here, but, or take any other action relative thereto. Is that something that we have to have in each, because it's like, you can do
Yeah.
anything else that,
Well, anything else town meeting agrees to do that's within,
Because someone
What's
could
legal,
stand
right.
up and say, I want to do blah, 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 which it could be anything else relative there too, and everybody in town meeting could agree with them. And then it would,
It is,
so it is a required thing to have.
it is definitely
yeah.
the town meeting warrant language.
language, right, yeah.
I think Chris had a question.
You know, as far as for these consolidating expenses, these departments now have to budget for postage?
Yes.
Okay, so nothing's changing from the department side, they still have to budget for posting, fuel, oil,
Right.
so that, okay. And that's what we will see.
Yes. Yeah, we can make reports that show you what each department uses.
Okay.
Even if in the accounting system, it's all under one account. We can still break it out.
And so, I'm trying, so why are you doing it on your side? So why don't you just roll everything up to utilities? Why don't you consolidate it even more, make it easier on yourself?
I mean, they're all separate purposes, so it's,
Right. But I get, so you're still, it's still at the department level, right? You're saying we're still gonna get the information at the department level, to Matt's point, so the bathroom light bulb budget is,
We need to know what their needs are, and they're gonna have to
That's
tell
not
us.
gonna die.
The police department's gonna say, look, we annually expect $1,000 worth of postage and $10,000 worth of gasoline, and that, or we're tracking it in other ways, but we do know what they need, and they'll have to tell us if they expect something different. But there's only gonna be one line item in our budget, the overall budget for gasoline, there's gonna be one line item for postage. Now, when we track it internally, we'll know who's using what, and we'll be able to report that to the committee. But this is for ease of the accounting office, just having, instead of a lot of different entries, they've got one.
If we get the information we want, then as far as I'm concerned, the accounting is in charge of the chart of accounts, and it's really his call, as far as I'm concerned.
But
I don't understand
We
why.
need town meeting the way it is right now,
Yeah,
it's all broken into separate accounts, we need
Yeah.
town meeting to approve it.
yeah, that's fine. I don't know why Joe Blow down on Chestnut Street understands the chart of accounts, but,
But he might,
that's
he
fine.
has a right to ask, and we
That's
have
right,
to-
yeah, no, okay.
Chestnut Street getting a bad rap.
That's fine. I'm just expressing my opinion, I understand that
It's
the-
okay, because it's not over there.
right, but I only bring up the idea of like the utilities though, because if salary and benefits makes up like 80+% of our budget, like, and then we list out postage and fuel, and like, why aren't we just trying to consolidate it and for reporting purposes, say like, okay, utilities are $100,000, rather than these 5 summary accounts make up utilities?
right. I mean, they are separate utilities, like heating and, electricity. They're separate, they have separate trends, separate vendors. So, I mean, that structure already exists, and it makes sense to keep them, rather than consolidate into a single utilities account.
And I think if he came to us and said, we spent $100,000 on all utilities, we would ask him, well, what are we supposed to?
What's the breakdown?
Yeah.
What do we spend on gas? What do we spend on
It's
electric?
available, though. I mean, again, on a $63 million budget, like, what are we trying to focus on? I mean, it's like, the postage here is $25,000. The fuel is $90,000. I mean, again, Chris is absolutely right. You're the account, you're in charge of the chart of accounts, you do what you have to. As long as we can get the information that we need.
All right, any further discussion on this?
So I'm going to rescind my motion
Yeah,
to
well,
approve until we have the clearer wording or
Does the
more
second
detailed wording.
The second is rescinded.
Oh, you were the second.
It was between me and Chris.
Yeah.
Either
I'll
one.
rescind that.
We both are rescinding our seconds.
And so with that, it's still open for a motion, or we make a motion to,
So I would change my motion to a motion to pass over,
Or, no, take no action?
to take no action at this time.
Until further details are available.
Yes. So the motion is to take no action until
Oh, second that motion.
further details are provided.
any discussion on that? And so the details are just line by line, which accounts are going to.
Yeah, the what's what, so there's just, it's not so vague.
And no, you don't, I think the consolidating certain, I think, common expenses, I think we can clarify that.
What the
and be
common
much more
expenses are.
Yeah, specific.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go line by line.
No.
I think, just
I
say
think
oil,
in-
electricity,
Yeah,
postage.
I think
the
in-
headers.
Yeah.
Like during town meeting, we'll have, like you said, we'll have a handout that people will look at for the line by line, but I think the wording should, like the wording of the motion should have more, be more constraining than what the wording of the actual warrant article is, because when town meeting acts on it, they're acting on specific wording, and
We'll have a motions meeting
Yeah.
too, we'll do it via Zoom prior to town meeting, so you'll have all those motions, and we'll certainly get that one well in advance. Sure. And get it to Barbara too.
And if we know what the total is, can't we just put the, rather than sum of money, just put the total? We know what the number is, right?
Well,
That's not
it-
gonna change.
Well, so that's a good question though, too. So sums of money, because you're changing the action, not the actual numbers. Like going forward, the numbers will be different. So you can't lock it into,
But this,
right?
I think to Paul's point, this article is specific to the FY '23 budget,
And then,
so I think we could have the sums.
but then how do you do that going forward? You have
Well,
to vote
going-
that each year? That-
No, going
And change the
forward,
amount?
it'll be part of the budget that we're passing with the, like, the budget that is presented to town meeting.
By doing
We're
this-
doing this now this way because it's
Okay.
not part of the budget that we already passed.
Right.
So we have to change it in the budget that was passed by town meeting. We have to go back to town meeting and say, we need to change these lines, essentially.
But the amount doesn't change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, we're not changing any of the amounts.
Well,
Much like the cable one, we didn't
Right.
change any of
amount
the
for
amounts on
23
cable, we
won't
just
change.
changed kind
But
of
FY '24 it'll be
wording
different.
of it.
25 it'll be different.
Yeah, we're not voting on those things.
Yeah.
No,
We're voting on the structure.
Right, if we're voting, that's what I mean. So if we're voting on the structure, it doesn't sound to me like it would be an exact number,
Right.
Well, it has to be.
but it has to be.
Because
It's the amount that was appropriated in
Right.
20, at fiscal
For
year
this budget.
2023, so it was
It's the amount
whatever
that
that
we
full budget
voted
amount.
on,
Yeah.
But
in
so
the
do you get what I'm
budget
saying?
on
Like, in order to change the structure,
This will only
let's
affect
go with it.
fiscal '23.
So-
When you vote on the fiscal '24 budget, those will change it there.
So
so we'll have to revote
we
this every year.
No.
No, no, so
The
Barbara,
budget will be done that way.
Already set up that way.
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
get it. All right.
Thank you.
Because these numbers cannot. change.
No.
Correct.
You said it tonight.
No,
Rescinding
but-
or rescinding?
I see why
Okay.
we're voting on it. All right.
All right, that makes sense.
So the motion is to hold over until more information is available?
I think it was to take no action.
Take no action. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Take no
I was trying to
action
remember what.
until we get better
phrase.
clarification.
So the motion is to take no action. All those in favor? All
Aye.
those opposed? Then it carries.
No action has been taken.
There's a lot of talking. It was, I mean, collectively, it's been a lot of talking on that. And so Article 4, did I see that this has changed since this was?
We can pass this over, yeah.
Yeah, this can be passed over.
We don't have to.
We will need to, and that's on,
It's gonna be on there, we're gonna have to,
Read it.
yeah, we're gonna have to bring it up at town meeting and actually.
So I'll
I'm
make
sure
a-
somebody has questions.
I'll make a motion to pass over Article 4.
And maybe defer to the Community Preservation Committee?
Oh, no, the town
No, that's
accountant.
fine.
Sorry, that's 5. Or defer to the town accountant for an explanation?
But I think we can just have
In discussion.
Andrew give an
Then
explanation.
I second.
time.
Any discussion?
So why is this being passed over? I think I missed that.
When we did the borrowing, DPW told us that design costs couldn't be included in that. What's fortunate for the town is that the costs that were being excluded from the borrowing were actually not design costs, but engineering costs, which can be included in the borrowing. So the sewer department doesn't actually need that extra money.
Okay.
And what will happen to the sum that was voted before, it'll just be returned to their retained earnings.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of passing over this motion?
Right.
All those opposed? It's passed over. Okay, Article 5, Community Preservation. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain on such terms and conditions as the Board of Selectmen deems in the best interest of the town, 2 parcels of land located on Orchard Lane in Abington, Massachusetts, shown as Land of McSherry Hancock Realty Trust, 9.11 acres, and as Parcel A on a plan recorded with the Plymouth Registry of Deeds in Plan Book 62, page 85, and being the premises described in a deed recorded with said deeds in Book 56-224, page 294, for open space and recreation purposes, and to raise and appropriate, borrow, and/or transfer from available funds, including without limitation, the Community Preservation Fund, to fund the acquisition and cost incidental or related thereto, with the care, custody, and control of said parcels to be vested in the Conservation Commission under the provisions of GLC 48C, and further to authorize the Board of Selectmen and the Conservation Commission to grant a conservation restriction on said parcel to a qualified entity under GLC 184, 31, TAC 33, as required by GLC 44B, 12A, or take any other action.
Motion to approve Article 5.
Motions to approve, any second?
I'll second.
Sarah seconds. Any discussion?
Yes. Sorry. One, is there any way we could do discussion first, because it like is ruining my brain? If it's not, no big deal. It just ruins my brain. 2, wasn't there a cost to this?
Yep,
What's that cost?
about $230,000.
What? Not to you. Why isn't it in here?
Doesn't have to be. But I mean, we're gonna tell everybody at
Yeah.
that meeting. It'll probably be in the explanation.
Yeah.
But didn't have, then town council didn't put it in there, it doesn't have to be in there. It's,
Comes from Community Preservation
Yeah.
Act money,
they're going to have to,
and they have a
Just an
committee.
overall thing for people to know. I mean,
Yeah.
oh no, they're gonna know.
That's all.
It's not gonna be hidden.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's my only question.
To your first question, we're supposed to
I know.
make the motion first, then
Yeah,
discuss.
my brain, I don't think, works the way other people does.
Yeah.
It's just hurting.
So
All right, let's keep it going.
I think most people's work the way yours does.
I don't know.
I would agree with you.
But municipal law does not.
I hear you.
So,
So we're purchasing 9.11 acres for $230,000?
I think the 9.11 is just one of the,
One parcel is very small.
If you remember last year, it's supposedly landlocked and,
It has frontage on Orchard Lane on the
yeah,
circle.
so that, we were explained it doesn't have like a great purpose for some other person out there.
There was a developer who felt as though he could put 2 houses on the property.
Yeah,
I think it required some extensive wetland crossings.
sure.
But they, had the potential to do it. The property owner, rather than sell it to the developer, asked us if we'd be interested in purchasing it. And again, that makes a connection from 0 Rockland Street, the parcel that is part of putting into preservation, that wooded swamp over there, and brings us right over to Orchard Lane and connects us to the ball fields and the rest of this campus. So it's a great acquisition. It's a good price.
Does this have anything to do with the fire department?
Does not have anything to do with the fire department, unless they want to train out there. Brush fire training, maybe.
Yeah.
And the money's coming from the community preservation
Community
fund, not
preservation.
from the general fund.
This is not coming from the general fund, correct. And again, that's one of the purposes of community preservation. Open space, recreation is one of their buckets. I think this is a great opportunity for the town. And this is, if you'd like, I could bring it up on the big screen, but it's just a great piece of property, the way it connects everything, and connects to this. It also brings up where the potential path from the back of this building, there's a potential path that goes out to Orchard Lane, right over to this, just off of the side of this property. So it gives us the possibility to do, a lot of different trails that we can connect and do some work with the departments at the school. And once we have our open space and recreation plan updated, we'll be able to get grant money to help develop those trails.
Because it's the end of Orchard Lane, that's like the Shar Ave lollipop.
No, Shar Ave's that way. This is like Broad
It
Meadow.
would come
Scott,
out to,
I think it actually would be good to put the picture up on the
Yeah.
screen, because I'm just looking on my phone at it, and it helps me to visually see it.
That's what we,
There was some mention
Well, we
of
bought
fire
this one.
department. Yeah, there's some mention of fire department, and maybe them getting in and out?
no,
Maybe
no,
road-wise?
that was over here. That was Zero Glenowitz. We already bought that. We're not, we had originally thought that, but that's a different property. Let's see. Let's see, Google it.
I think just maps.google.com.
Know where we are?
It's Google.
Are you asking if Google knows where you are?
It knows where you were born. It knows where you're gonna die.
possibly when.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Lowe's, right below your cursor.
So, what's the schedule you get into?
Satellite, is that what you're looking for?
Bottom right, I think.
No, I think that's up, the three dots, is it the three dots on the
No, that's the
top?
browser.
Somebody at home is like screaming at their TV right now.
I'm screaming at the TV right now.
Or if you right click?
No, I think what brings up the thing, so you have to put a address or something in there in order for them to pick it up to do the satellite, I think.
It should. I think bottom right-hand corner, click on that.
You see that arrow on the right-hand side in the middle of the screen? On the edge? On the right, that's the left.
Oh, that's part of this.
Oh, that's part of that, okay.
I'd like to put a little plug in for Wayne Norling at this point. Yeah, I need a plug. This is what he comes up with every day.
Kind of odd. Google Maps is...
Go back to the triangle on the left.
There's a lot of pressure on you, Scott, right now.
Scroll down.
There it is.
Satellite.
This is that new Google.
It's not the same, it's thinking about it.
Oh,
You
right.
see the blue line going across.
A little spinner down here.
That's what we get for using dial-up.
When I see Kevin Todgy, I'm gonna tell him I want the money back on this.
This is the Wi-Fi.
Andrew, go ahead and add an item for Wi-Fi.
Well, here is Broadmeadow, and this is Orchard Lane. And those properties are right here. Here's, the library, obviously. Town Hall complex, here's the little circle, flagpole.
Oh, all
And
right.
here's the Rockland Street property, so the Rockland Street property comes in like this. This one here is right in this area, and then we already own up and around here. Here's your Shaw Ave.
Right, that's what I was thinking, like the McHugh Drive and Orchard Lane kind of,
And this is the Orchard Lane one over here. Here's Orchard Lane,
yeah.
and here's Broad Meadow. So we actually have this little cul-de-sac at the bottom here is actually still considered Orchard Lane. So that's where we'd have access, and there's actually a sewer easement that was put in that goes from here down to Town Hall, that it has potential for some trails.
If
or
the
a trail.
satellite showed up, you can
see
see
it.
kind of the spot between the trees that goes across.
It's still thinking.
Hey, click on, see the hamburger up by Find a Place? On the left, the three lines
Bars.
on the left side.
No,
We're over here, find out what you want, a hamburger?
Yeah, so
No,
the three lines.
The 3 lines is called the hamburger.
Now
You're looking for
click
which one?
satellite. It's definitely the Wi-Fi because it totally works here on my hotspot.
Called this
Yeah,
better than.
it's all right there.
It's all about.
You could tap cast it.
There it is.
We got it.
Whoa.
All right. So, here it is, here's actually Town Hall, and you can see here is that
Cut through.
easement, yeah. It's a potential cut through, I know there's obviously gonna be some wetland issues, or there's some streams out here. There's some wetlands in here. But again, you can see that purchasing this brings us into one big campus area. We also have that potential that eventually, once this is established, maybe, with some grant money, we could do something to bring, a bike trail or, something along the sidewalks that could come right down and eventually get over into the Ames Knoll area. So, it's a great opportunity, we wouldn't want to miss it. I'd hate to see anything built over there.
Yeah.
The other property is like right in here, Greg. And that one is, we were talking about putting the fire department there, but we have no intention of doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But we did tie it up, and we do have that property, and that's, some sort of future use. It could become more just open space, recreation, or it does abut the housing authority, so there's a potential to have some sort of partnership with them to do some senior housing at some point.
Can I see up a little bit further? Like, so how far does it go to?
The one that we're talking about today
Yep,
ends right about here, so it's like this big area right in here.
okay. And then who owns above it?
Up in here?
Yeah.
That's the town already.
Okay.
So we already own this,
Yep,
and we
So it
already own
ties in,
this.
yeah.
Right, so it creates that connector right over to the schools essentially.
And you're saying, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the fire is not there anymore at all?
No, fire is not coming to the campus. That's, an agenda item for another night,
Yep.
that we may show you something down in this area. Because, we already own it, and it would be nice to have a new campus.
All right, thank you for doing that to us.
So you're just going to defer to community preservation, I'm assuming?
motion to approve. I thought I did.
Yeah, it was a motion to approve. Any other discussion?
So what's the purchase price again?
230,000.
And when they write the articles here, it's like, so if we know we're gonna purchase it, like, why do we put gift or eminent domain in there? We know we're gonna purchase, and then we know what the price is, but we don't put the price in.
Yeah, I know, probably because if the whole thing was to start to go sideways, or if we had maybe a defect in the title or something, and we still wanted to go forward, we could just do a eminent domain friendly taking. This just gives us all the options. It
Yeah.
doesn't box us into something that we have to come back for. I think the seller on this would prefer to get it done sooner. That's why we're trying to do it at this particular meeting as opposed to waiting, so the sooner the better.
Any other discussion? The motion is to approve, it was seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It's approved, recommended approved. All right, Article 6. Payment of prior year's bill to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $400 to pay an outstanding prior year bill for Gov Connection or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to approve Article 6.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Recommended approval. Article 7. Nah,
Looking forward to you reading all of
I
it,
was just going to ask that question.
and me not reading all of
I think we could have a handout for this one,
it.
too,
You do not need to read.
Okay, all right.
You can just read the
as
word.
listed in the warrant.
Right, it's listed in the warrant.
Okay.
It's great wording.
Article 7, that's exactly what I'm doing. Article 7, transfer of land to conservation. To see if the town will vote to transfer the care and custody of the parcels of land listed below from the tax custodian for tax title purposes to the Conservation Commission for conservation and passive recreation purposes in perpetuity pursuant to the provisions of GLC 48C and subject to the provisions of Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to defer to the Board of Selectmen?
Is that the right board that it will go to?
Yeah.
Is
And seconded? Any discussion?
Remind me what the purpose of, I know you said it before, but
Passive recreation?
transferring these to conservation.
Yeah, these were all Diane Circle parcels, these were leftover parcels that are, well, I'd never find Diane Circle, would I?
Go over to Linwood.
I think if you click the hamburger,
Wait,
So Hancock.
up this way?
Nope, down.
Okay,
go to Walmart.
go to Walmart.
So Rockland Street, go over to the left, down to Scalia Pinton to the left. That, right where you are, the.
Little bitty.
Right beneath, that section is Diane Circle. It's not really a
There it
circle.
is.
Yeah, so this portion of it here that you don't see, that was all laid out, and you can almost make out the line here.
Yeah.
Which I think one of them is Jeremiah, and then Diane Circle comes all the way around. So there were a lot of little parcels there, that's why you see so many of them.
That's why Diane Circle doesn't connect to Diane Circle.
Exactly, yeah.
It's always baffled me.
It was, yeah, you know, it was laid out, it was approved, like I said, I think they're probably all, maybe half-acre lots. But this, is, as you can see, is Beaver Brook, and you can probably make out where there's some wetland areas in here. So it really wasn't buildable, but the layout's there, and there's still good walking trails in there. So it's been kicking around, the town ended up with it, I'm not sure whether it was just non-payment of taxes, probably, we ended up with it. So this would be a great place, because I think right now, there's already sort of a little pull-off over here and a little pull-off over here, people are using it. The Open Space Committee, with the assistance of Dan Breelman, just did a nice walk through there, they actually made a video, hopefully I'll have that available to put up, but it's just, you know, as you can see, it's just a great connector to a lot of other open space. So we want to preserve it, we want to protect it. And that is the majority of what you see. The other one that's in this list was the one that I had spoke of that we already own. Over here, the Rockland Street. There's that nice wooded swamp that you kind of go by. We already own it, but this will just sort of put it into the care and custody of the conservation and put that conservation restriction. It'll keep me from accidentally putting it into a surplus land auction in the near future. Another property that is on there that we've discussed is this one next to Zero Chestnut, underneath the high tension lines over here, we own a piece that right about here, kind of abuts this area. That's town-owned land, and so we want to put a restriction on that, where the hopes are someday that this is all owned by a religious group, and they're taking good care of that property. And as you can see, Ames Noble is on this side, and then this kind of goes up into Holbrook, and this just continues on as open space, just all the way up into Weymouth, and again, it's another area that's really important that we do what we can to preserve it. And then the last lots that are in there are over here, and they abut the Blueberry Hill. Part of that's already conservation. There is a paper road that comes in, I think it's probably like coming in up here by the river. It's off of Dale. Might come up like this way, but there's a few of those lots that you see on there. I think we actually referred to them as maybe Oakland.
Oakland is on, Oakland's where.
Yeah, so those ones actually connect into this Blueberry Hill area. So another part, and a part of that Blueberry Hill is already where it says Blueberry Hill land. That portion of it is already conservation, so this is just connecting to that. And again, we've heard it loud and clear that, we're not doing enough to protect open space here, and we're not doing enough to protect our our natural resources. So this would, again, by doing this and putting these into the care and custody of conservation and putting a restriction on it, will prevent anybody from in the future deciding to make it part of an auction.
So we own up the high power lines, tension lines, whatever
We
they're
own
called?
some of it, not all of it.
Who owns the, some?
Boston Edison actually still owns the frontage.
Yeah, because there is like I may or may not go there.
It's not,
No, there's so much trash there.
Yeah,
It's
that's on the Boston Edison
unreal.
sign.
It's how much has like actually been dumped. If you go, just
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, so if you make that right into Chestnut there, from Chestnut,
Yeah.
there's just an abundance
In
of
this area?
tires and trash. Like when I say trash, like actually people bring bags and throw it there. So if we are with the conservation thing, we gotta try to figure out how to clean
Well,
it
this
up a little
area
bit.
belongs to, most of this here is Boston Edison, but I'd be happy to let them know.
Yeah,
If there's an
I didn't know we had anything to do with it.
We own up into here, the easement obviously was Boston Edison, but they also owned a piece over here. And we owned, when you get up into this area.
Nobody's probably walking that far back with their trash.
With the trash now, I'm sure they're dumping it
No,
there.
I'm telling you, there's a lot in there.
Really?
Yeah. People go in there and do fires
I
and
think
it's,
Barbara's saying they're not going like an acre.
yeah, so you'd be surprised how close that is from, it's hard to explain, but there's a gate. There's a gate on the other street and you can just come back and forth.
Oh,
And
up
it's
on
not
139?
people walk, you don't walk there, you go in with a truck.
Yeah.
Or maybe a ATV.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And it's
If
not
you
just
have
that
one,
section, I
that's
mean.
fine.
No, it's just bad. Again, I'm just telling you,
the whole thing.
there's a good amount of trash there. I didn't know we had anything to do with it, sorry.
Any other discussion?
Scott, these properties how long have the town held them? And what's the outstanding tax balance on these?
There's no outstanding tax balance on these at all.
So-
They've been in, I don't know how long they've been, as long as I've been here, probably longer, they've been in the care and custody. So what we lost on it, I don't know.
So do we have they've been in there a while, do we have others in the same situation? And do we have a policy or a practice,
No.
like how long we move these things
Yeah,
along?
now, there was a list that had started before I got here. There was a surplus land committee that actually looked at all the surplus land, and they sort of broke it off into different lists of what to do, and a lot of it's wetlands. So there's nothing we're ever gonna be able to do with it. There's another piece that sits over on the Brockton line by Cape Cod Lumber. We actually tried to sell it, but it really had no value. But it's wetlands. It's just, it'll be town land, and There's a parcel that I guess used to be the sign shop for the DPW off of Washington Street that is basically rock. We tried to sell that and nobody wanted it, so it'll just stay there forever. There's another portion, so there are still parcels out there, but they're not buildable. The parcels that are buildable that we know of at the end of Glenowitz Way, where it has that big pile of,
But the town took these because of non-payment tax.
and that's why initially we did the auction, because the whole idea is we try to recoup that money through the auction.
And they
But some
did-
stuff has no value.
Sonia was, I don't know if you remember, Sonia was working with people that are in that situation
To set up payment
to
plans.
set up payment plans or to just, there was a couple other things that she was doing to cut down on the going to court, because the
Right.
cost of going to court and her going to court and all of that.
And actually, that worked out very well. This actually, these parcels have been sitting around and have already been closed on, but there are other parcels that, she was able to talk to the actual homeowner rather than to go that route and set up some sort of a, look, if you can make this much of a payment, we can avoid going into tax title and give you an opportunity to catch up. So it does work. We did go, I think, the first year I was here at a town meeting to approve that, actually, to allow her to do that. So, but yeah, there are still some parcels out there, but they're not, the ones that we identified that had any value, we tried to sell.
Okay.
And some of
That
those,
was last year, right?
2 years ago, I think it was now. It seems like it was like 2 years ago, yeah. Because we're finally able to use the money. But some of them, I think we ended up, we had some parcels of people that, they bought it and realized what they
And it
got.
wasn't as, yeah.
Yeah, they disappeared and left their deposit behind, so.
Any other discussion? So the motion is to defer to the Board of Selectmen. It was seconded. All in favor?
Can I just, why are we deferring to the Board of Selectmen?
It's their article.
Okay.
And it's not.
Chris's motion and there wasn't a
there's-
financial
Yeah,
impact.
there's no particular financial impact on this.
Okay.
Sometimes
That was
though,
my
even-
thinking, I don't know.
Sometimes
We
even-
could still provide our recommendation one way or the other.
I
if
think
we
sometimes
wanted to.
boards like, even if there's not a financial implication, just that we've heard it, gone over it, and agree with it.
All the support we can get for us. Appreciate it.
So maybe giving the support would be helpful.
I'll rescind my recommendation, my
You were supposed to
motion.
change it? Do you want to just change it?
Well, maybe I'll change it to defer with prejudice.
That sounds worse.
Yeah, with support of the motion. I don't know how to word it, but
We could either defer or we could just take up a motion one way or the other
okay.
on what our preference was.
So I'll rescind my motion.
I'll make a motion to
Who
approve.
seconded? They need to rescind the
Who
second.
seconded it? I don't remember either.
Maybe there wasn't a second, so it wasn't a motion.
No.
I don't think there was ever a second.
I think it was you, Barbara.
I'll rescind, yes. Mike,
All right, motion to approve Article 7.
Second.
It is seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And recommended for approval. And we'll skip all that stuff. All right, Article 8, collective bargaining. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds sums of money to fund and implement the first year of collective bargaining agreements with the Abington Police Local and DPW local unions, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion to take no action until we have dollar amounts.
Second.
Any discussion?
I can tell you that right now, give you the dollar amount was 30,000 for the DPW, and it'll come from the healthcare trust,
Not the trust,
or the healthcare line item,
the health budget.
health budget. And we're, not there with police yet, I don't have that number yet, so I recommend that we just continue to hold standby to standby.
Any other discussion?
Just a note for anyone who's new, often these things go down to the last minute before town meeting, and we usually...
Collective bargaining does,
We
right?
usually vote on them at our meeting, which we have like an hour before town meeting starts.
So we may have a number.
So we may have a number. If Scott is able to work an agreement out, we'll have a number, and if not, we won't.
And if we don't,
But it
it'll
sounds like
move to annual, or like?
DPW
We'll
is
do it
all
the
set.
special and the annual, but DPW, we have an
So
agreement.
DPW will have the number, like he can give us the number then. Police may or may not get done with it.
We'll have the amount and where they're,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Because this is part of, again, existing FY '23 model.
Any other discussion? So the motion is to take no action until we receive those specific numbers for Abington Police. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And so we'll take no action. Article 9, rescind plastic bag ban. To see if the town will vote to amend the town bylaws by removing Chapter 127 plastic bag ban in its entirety.
Motion to recommend approval of Article 9.
Seconded. Any discussion?
Questions? Who,
Don't ask me any questions.
you don't know anything about
I would
the...
defroze to,
I could probably answer every single question.
So
for this
that was going to be
So
my next...
there wasn't an attachment.
Was it the health
Is there
department that provided the
an in
attachment?
favor
Yeah.
side and an opposed side to this?
Yeah, the in favor of not having a plastic ban comes from the South Shore Recycling Co-op and most of the people in the recycling business, because it is, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but single-use super thin plastic bags is actually way better than the thick stuff that they're using now and paper bags only.
So the thick stuff that they're using now says that it's recyclable.
It's, well, everything technically is recyclable, but the thick stuff that the intention was that those were supposed to be multiple
Well, they
reuse.
mostly
But if you find somebody that uses those multiple times, you found a unicorn, and that's amazing. Yeah, I have lots.
My wife does.
I use it.
I'm not disagreeing with.
I usually use them multiple
I was
times
not-
from the store to the car and then from the car into the house. But no, our current recycling co-op is not in favor of single-use recycling bag bans. And this was not introduced by the health department initially.
Okay.
This was introduced by citizens, that they wanted
The ban.
Yeah,
Initially.
The ban was initiated not by, my department at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I remember this. Like, the argument was, well, the state's doing it, so we're might as well, like, do it now.
And then the state didn't
before-
do it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just think it's a good lesson for,
Oh, there's many more to
I'm
come.
really trying to like.
Many more
meter,
lessons, Greg.
And you know I'm not good at it. It's just, yeah.
It's a good lesson in the laws of unintended consequences.
Or just thinking things through a little bit more.
That is
Because
pretty
this
good.
was like a big thing and I fought against it because I was like, it's not even recycling. We don't even recycle recycling, so I don't, but again.
And it
it's
came at a
just-
time when recycling was extraordinarily expensive. to
Exactly,
do.
exactly. And that was my point.
And it really hasn't gotten much better.
So the effort should really be put into people buying those really nice bags, and reusing them, and not forgetting them in the car like I do every time.
And just so anyone who's watching, or anyone who didn't read the attachment that Scott had sent to us, can hear the single-use paper bags are more onerous to the landfill and to waste. They're heavier, they cost more to make, they cost more to transport, both in actual cost and greenhouse cost. And I will just say personally, my argument against it when this came up initially was I'm not a fan in general of the government banning things. And this is one of those reasons why.
Well, I will say the paper bags came in quite handy at the beach all summer getting my fires going. So
That is certainly true. Fire pits, they're good for.
So let's vote.
No, the hand, this two-page bullet point, is that going with this?
I will put that on the website, but it will be up to the health department to explain that article. So I will make an attachment as far as, it'll be available on the website and, as my explanation for this. And if the health department wants to make it available at town meeting, I think it would be nice, but they're going to have to get up and explain all that anyways.
Okay. Because it just, there's a lot of good points here, but I feel like when some of these are very in the lead, it's like I go through it and it's like it's before I get to bullet 6, there was like something that I can really relate to. And then, when you talk about other factoids, it's like the second page, it's like they talk about the weight of the paper bags, paper making is energy, chemical, and water intense. Like there's things there that it's like I feel like should be up front, where it's like some of it is just kind of conjecture here. It's like just give us the facts. I feel like we're burying the lead on some of it. It's all good stuff, but it just needs the geography of it takes so much effort to get through to read it. And then you kind of like, well, what? So why are we doing this? Like, why did we do it originally? Why are we doing this now? So like when you really read it, it's like, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, in the end, there are no financial implications to this. So really, we're just recommending.
Well, there
No,
is.
there are.
How so?
There are because as
It'll
the
affect-
handout
We
stated.
weren't making any money.
But the cost of the paper bags in trash removal and
So that's
recycling
The weight of the
removal
bag.
And not to mention
Is
the
higher.
additional costs on business to purchase the thicker
businesses.
bags.
And
And then
businesses to
there's the
purchase.
cost for our
But-
per department
that's
personnel
the-
and enforcement of,
What's the number?
yeah, it's
So
a lot.
So I think the number, if I remember the handout correctly, the number, it was something like $1,000 per 1,000 households, something like that. So essentially $1 per household in waste removal cost.
Do we know if the person that originally,
He's no longer with us.
Well, so I'm, if you're going to throw numbers, I'm going to want to know where they're from. So in my mind, that's kind of made up at this point without a reference, but
What number are you looking for?
I'm trying to pull up the sheet here where he was referencing how it is financially
Yep.
connected. I'm trying to-
impacting the trash removal,
Yeah.
impacting the local businesses, for sure.
Because the way I read it, there was no fee for bags. or
I can
Right,
anything
assure you
selected.
There is no fee.
We're not
but there-
allowed- we're not
but there
allowed.
is-
Right.
But there is cost to the town
No
as
handles
far
on
as
the bag?
waste and recycle removal.
And to the businesses in town.
And to
that
the
we
businesses
should
in
be-
town, but from the finance committee standpoint, our primary charge is the cost to the taxpayer of the town, which the direct cost to the taxpayer of the town is the trash removal. Trash
Loosely connected, yes, I appreciate that. I did second this, I just want to point that out.
And enforcement, if you count, like,
What's that?
and enforcement.
And enforcement.
Because the enforcement does fall on the health department.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point, too. Any other discussion?
So the motion was to recommend, right?
So the motion is to recommend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And we are recommending. Approval.
Recommending approval of removal.
All right, very good.
Redundancy department?
I feel like the ones that I thought were going to take longer were much shorter than the ones that...
You'll find that's quite often the case.
All right, so next on the agenda would be the Vadar accounting software access. This was brought up last week. Andrew, you're 100% healthy this week and here with us, so any updates on that?
Yes, I do have the login information right here. I can pass it
Okay.
along after the meeting. It's been set up, and we can set up some time to go through it.
That's
Sure,
awesome.
okay.
I love that. Excellent. Very excited about that. Thank you, Andrew. And Greg, do you want to, you missed that. Do you know what we're doing with that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I didn't want to say it out loud, but I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, gotcha. So the Vadar is the accounting software that we use here?
Yep.
And so we're getting the statistician, Chris, access to that. And so that way he can work with Andrew and also, and also help
I do
him
have a
kind
shirt that
of
says
break down the
statistician.
reports
Yep.
visually to help us see it, but also it gives him access to, do what statisticians do.
Yeah,
And, dig into the numbers versus us, getting the numbers kind of last minute.
as long as I don't have access to it, I think we're good.
Yeah. You were second on the list.
It is a read-only
I was
access.
gonna say,
Yeah.
it's view-only access.
You can finally see all the suffering I have to deal with.
Yeah.
But does this give us the potential to build our own reports?
Yes, you'll be able to do that.
Okay.
So Chris should be able to build the reports too, right? You just can't edit anything?
Correct, you can read the data, but you can't
You
alter
build
the
a report
data.
to the capability of the program.
Yeah. Can he export?
I believe so. yeah.
Okay.
I did request that.
Export to Excel and Tableau and all that stuff.
Tableau. It's in the,
Some Power BI.
I retired from my full-time
was just gonna say.
actuarial job.
So everything that Chris downloads onto his PC now is a public record?
Everything that he downloads and takes from here will be
No,
a
no,
public
no. Do you
record.
have the,
But it's already a public record.
do you have the town?
Right, but he just introduced
No.
his laptop.
No, yeah.
No, you can't.
Why do we not
Public
have
record
the?
requests have to be specific, and they can't be too broad, so they can only ask for something on his
All right,
computer,
that's
like
the-
Vadar
wait a
being
minute.
used
Hold
for.
on, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something we should definitely address. We always had a town laptop, a finance committee laptop, so that you wouldn't run into that situation. So everything on that laptop is,
Yeah,
Finance committee.
I never saw a finance committee laptop.
It's
Probably with the
it's been a
name
long
tags.
time since anyone's.
It's with the name tags of the old candy crush.
I've not done the status.
I'll make,
before, so I haven't paid too much
No,
attention
nobody ever
to,
told me there was one.
Yes, we always had one, I
I
don't
think
know.
like 8 or 9 years ago, there was a finance committee.
No,
It's a
not that long
Commodore
ago.
64, I think.
Not that,
Plays Atari games?
Laps were much bigger then.
It's cloud-based, so you can access it without any kind of concern, but if you did download something, then, to Marty's point, they can
But
request
just the
specific.
Well, they
statisticians
can't
should
request
have
the
a-
laptop. They can
Right.
request what they've
Laptop,
downloaded
so-
and what is very
That'd be
specific.
great.
You can't just say,
I
give me that
was
laptop
unaware we
and let me
didn't
look
have
through all
one.
your stuff.
Evidently
That's
for
not-
many years.
You did have one.
Right, but if you don't produce what they think, they can seize a laptop. They can seize equipment like they can seize your phone. I've actually seen that happen.
Yeah, I
As far
know.
as-
it was
Not at a public records request.
No.
Correct. If there's
But
something
they have
illegal.
Yes.
Well, they can't.
Finance
But,
committee
okay.
laptop.
So
No change here.
I'm trying to think of what the concern would be for view-only access to something.
Is if he can, what Paul brought up, is if he can export and download
If he downloads
files.
something.
Then they can get all my stuff.
So if they did ask, have a public records request and wanted to see it for some crazy reason, they can only look at very specifically
What
what
they're
they're looking
requesting.
for.
Right.
Right.
That being said, I have no problem whatsoever getting you a laptop. We will get one for this committee, and you'll get the, whatever policy we have, and if you put anything else on it, if you find that you're looking at fancy cars,
Yeah,
we'll know.
yeah.
But it's easy enough to do. We can buy another laptop.
That would be
Seems
great.
like an expense.
Well,
We do have an expense line.
No, I mean, I just,
we lost that with the signs and the
it
candy.
would seem like it'd be,
It was rolled into the earlier.
You can take this one.
let's do it this way for now. I'll get the access, I'll see what I want to look at, and maybe I'll create a report and ask Andrew to print it or something like
But
that.
just going forward, it's just a good idea for the statistician to be working from the finance committee laptop and not your own personal.
It really isn't a big expense, I think we can do it.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll put it in this next sheet that I'll talk about in my liaison report.
You're just not getting your car this.
You'll you'll not be ordering cars through this laptop.
Anything else on the Vadar stuff? Andrew, thank you for setting that up.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, last, as far as agenda items, is to establish a finance committee open items parking lot. This was brought up by Paul to me as something to add to the agenda, and ironically, when he had sent it to me, I saw like a thread of emails that we've had over the last year that I've been on the committee of just like a bunch of stuff we've talked about talking about in the future and just haven't gotten to. And so my interpretation, I'll kick it over to Paul here in a second, is that it's establishing a location for all of those open items that we want to address in the future. We just kind of run out of time to do so. And hooking that up potentially onto the website for us to see as a group, and also the public to be able to access too. So, Paul, is that in line, or do you have anything
Yeah, no,
more to
you
add?
summed it up well. Yeah, because there's things that, like, I look at like the last 2 meetings that we've had, people have asked, Chris asked once, Andrew asked, like, where are the financial policies? Like,
Yeah.
what is the status of those? Like, okay, we can't, I don't think there's anything we can do about it right now. They're being worked on by others. But it's like, let's just back to nobody's waiting for us.
Yeah.
And then like, like management letter comments, those things like that, where it's like, they're out in front of us, we're not forgetting about them because, like management letter comments, there's 6 of them in the current, one from 2021. And 3 of them prior year. I mean, they've been around forever. And it'd just be good to have us periodically look at those, like, and just check in, is there anything that we need to do on them? And anything else? And then there may be things that, like, we're all waiting for Chris to produce a report from Vadar, and we put that on there.
On his personal laptop.
Excuse me?
Are you looking for a Dropbox type thing? or-
No, it's just some
Yeah,
attract.
a parking lot's just a list of issues or a list of
Yeah.
questions
Kinda
or
like
whatever that we
an
never got to or
old
get
news.
answers
Deal
to.
with later. on
Where's
the
that,
agenda.
where's it gonna exist?
Like it should be like a Trello board, like a Kanban, like, this is what we're working on, it moves to the next one, but, obviously, we're not gonna be able to do that. I'm imagining it going on our section of the website, where I've attached the liaison reports and the finance committee handbook I attached there too. I found a whole new section that we can add things to our little page. So that's where it'll go. And I'll develop a structure to that page, and I'll send it around for all you guys. But yeah, I agree. And just talking about it now, I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to do that template for the department heads, their little brag sheet.
Yeah, we are meeting with them on the 28th, did I schedule it for?
Yes.
Yeah, so the 28th, Andrew and I are meeting with the kickoff with them, and that's one of the agenda items, is to let them know that that's coming. So
Okay,
if
28th.
by the 28th, you do have that template ready, it'd be great, I can roll it out to them at
Look
that
at
time.
parking lot right here.
Put it in your parking lot.
Version 1.0.
Before technology, that was the parking lot.
Yeah.
Still works.
I was looking at some whiteboards today at Staples, I can get one of those too.
That's what I used to use.
This is actually a whiteboard.
Spending money again.
Google Drive is free.
This has a whiteboard feature on it.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Whatever color you want, as long as it's red or yellow.
Okay.
Better than the Model T.
Anything else on the finance committee open items sheet location? It will be in our section of the website on the top left. There's like blue icons that you can click on in PDF format. So, okay, so now that as we're done with agenda items, next are liaison reports. I believe we have one from the town manager.
So I think you all have a copy of the ARPA state allocation status. You'll just see some of the things that the working group has looked at, some of the things that, we have spent. going down that side list, there was a budget transfer. We bought a vehicle for the building department when we hired the new building commissioner. We needed a vehicle for him. Some of these other things were just issues, whether it was Code Red and Civics Plus. These were enhancements that we did to our website, and everybody, I think you're probably all well aware of what Code Red is now, because we use it quite a bit. That's our, messaging system that we've been using. We did buy some computers. A lot of the enhancements that you see in the Carter room here that have been done by Abcam, we chipped in on that, or ACAM now. The dog park needed a shed. We did a lot of work over at the election site as far as the parking lot, getting them pole pads and extra details and staffing for that. The health department had an issue that there was a hoarder house that needed some addressing and they needed some help immediately, so.
I love that that was done.
Yeah.
It's a
great place to use that kind of money.
Absolutely.
We're doing some projects, the Little League field needed some money. We bought 3 police cruisers when we didn't have any capital or any free cash last year. The Riley Field sign was destroyed in the storm, in that big storm that we had. And the insurance only covered a portion of repairing it. We picked up the rest with the opera funds. We've done some enhancements and some repairs at the senior center, Shaw Street. The guardrails were like...
Shaw Ave.
Yeah, Shaw Ave. Those guardrails were rotted and falling apart, so we had to replace those. We helped out with the St. Patrick's Day Parade as far as the covering the cost of details. We bought a street sweeper. As you guys recall, the street sweeper that we had, we only had one of them. The other one was falling apart. The MS4 permit that we talk about every year requires us to sweep every street twice a year. And we can face fines of upwards of $3,000 a day if we don't do so. We did some surveying work, probably in relation to the Glenowitz, the Glenowitz Way property. Repair on the town hall AC units.
They are not working.
That was the lower floors.
Definitely
That
not
wasn't the upper
working.
floor. I hate to tell you, but we have to actually replace this unit. We'll be talking about that when it comes to capital time. Zen City is one, we're working with a consultant that's working with our connectivity to Facebook and social media and tracking it and trying to keep up on what's being said and done out there and how we can respond and address and when we do find that there's things that maybe we don't know about or big issues like water quality issues, that those are the things that we have to make sure that we're doing a better job in messaging to everybody what's going on out there, what we're doing about it. So you can see some of the pending projects that we have on the other side. Traffic signs, those are like those big, the big giant LED signs. The town actually doesn't own any of those, so we're purchasing 2 of those. The senior center generator, the current generators over there, the backup power was a hand-me-down that the DPW, the sewer department, actually had for one of their lift pump stations, and they have been doing a great job, thanks to John and the gang over there, keeping that running and keeping it alive, but it's old, and it only does a very small portion of that building. We count on that as our warming site, our cooling site, our emergency site when everything else is down. The $60,000 is a town portion. We did receive a $25,000 earmark thanks to Allison Sullivan. So that'll help break it so that full building will be fully have full backup power in the future. Glenowitz Gateway guardrails, you could see probably on your way in that we were putting those in. That's obviously to keep people from leaving the school really fast and driving over the island. Island Grove playground, there's a secondary playground down there that's old, and we want to, again, I think it's probably the metal type stuff, and we want to remove that and put in another playground over there. There were tennis court, the $5,000, that was turning those tennis courts, I think that was additional into making it parking. And some of this stuff, like the Memorial Field, we're looking at upgrades to the baseball field out there. I don't know if anybody here has seen that or played on it. I don't know how you could. And I don't know why any other high school agrees to playing on that, but we intend to take care of that and make it safe and, regulation.
Where's the baseball field?
Memorial Field, so it's where the high school.
Where the football field is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot better now than it was, though.
Yeah,
Really? That's
Oh,
not
yeah.
possible.
it is.
Yeah.
How much money is going to that?
It's out to bid, but we're thinking, between the field, the turf, some new signage, some backstops, probably in the $150,000 range.
Are they putting a fence?
There is a fund.
There is a fence there.
He means
No.
outfield.
No, sorry, is there a
Oh.
fence for people to hit home runs?
No.
You-
Yeah, that's the thing you really need if you really
Well, I
wanted
think that
to,
would
if
be
you wanted to
a
attract.
problem when people are playing football.
Yeah.
There's multiple ones that come down and move.
Oh.
Yeah, But the problem, Greg, is you get the JV field in the varsity,
Yeah.
they,
I'm just saying, from a person who played baseball for a long time, that's the one thing that you hate when you go to a field.
No
You can hit
home run.
You can hit a ball
You can't do it
420 feet and it's an out.
right, because the
a good
right
point.
field though for the JVs is standing next to the center fielder for the.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you sit there and chit chat. Yeah, I play center field and you sit chit chat with the right fielder. It can be scary at times,
Sure.
It would be.
yeah.
The Plymouth Street ball field, we're looking at possibly putting some irrigation over there. And the hot box, we need a new hot box, for, obviously for pothole repair and minor repairs to any of our parking lots that might have potholes in it, sidewalk repair, things like that. So the initial allocation was, to the town was 1.7. And this is what you see here. There's a remaining 819. There's still 2.7 over at Plymouth County,
3.2 at Plymouth.
3.2 at Plymouth County. We're hoping that we can take the street sweeper that we've already bought out of that. And we're trying that, now we're starting to look at projects and things that meet, like I said originally, when we talked about this last, the money that we sit on, that 1.7, we, as you can see, are able to spend it in whatever we deem is appropriate. The money that is sitting, that is allocated to us, but is in the custody of Plymouth County, is very specific on how we can use it. And one of the things we can use it for is infrastructure. So we're thinking that there'll probably be some of the downtown enhancement projects that we hope to do, and obviously the street sweeper, because it maintains our stormwater system.
And would infrastructure include the street?
The infrastructure would include what's under the street, repairing that, and then obviously replacing street on top. Yeah, so to that extent, yes, it would. So we're expecting to see a lot of projects like that. And a lot of what we were waiting for was, as you saw, that capital improvement plan, to see what the culmination of that was, so we could sort of figure out what it was, what John Stone's big needs and asks were going to be over the next few years as far as infrastructure goes, because maybe we can obviously kickstart that program with some of this money. We've already allocated some of it to the water department, I think $500,000
Yeah, for the PFAS.
to go into the PFAS, to the design of the PFAS remediation. And then, as you know, we've already, there is plenty of money that's there. It's more waiting now for the actual vessels and equipment that they need to come in, because everybody in the world's looking for them at the same time. So that's where we're at right now. Again, the money that's in the custody of Plymouth County can be used for infrastructure. It can be used for enhancing broadband. I think, we're looking at some of the things that we've done as far as enhancements here and our ability to do hybrid and get communication out to the community. We're looking at that as possible ways to go through Plymouth County as enhancements to broadband, because the whole point is to make sure that we can continue to operate should there be more pandemics, and we can reach everybody, whether it's a population, if it's the elderly population because they can't make it to town hall, or if it's just some other population for whatever reason that is being left out. We want to make sure that we find that, identify it, and make sure that we're including them in. And to that end, that's some of the stuff we've done with Code Red. We've got that, so we have the ability to communicate through Code Red in Brazilian Portuguese, because we do have a significant Brazilian Portuguese speaking population here. So we're doing other things like that. We've done enhancements through that Civics Plus on our website, so that if you choose, you can have and access our website in certain languages, and that's one of them.
Can anyone in the town present like a project idea for that?
Yeah, they can. Mostly what we've been reaching out to, we started off with department heads, and we've talked to the different recreation committee. We're looking also at, our master plan had made some recommendations on what to do with entrances to the town, entrances in our business districts, and things that could have been done and should have been done. But the master plan came in, and then nobody made a plan for addressing the issues in the master plan. So now we have that ability to deal with that stuff. So that's kind of where our focus is right now.
So they can, but there's
Well,
already kind of a plan.
No, there are plans, but there's always, like, as you can see, a lot of these things, if somebody was to come to me and say, we live on Green Street and we use the Green Street field, and we think it would be great if we had something over there, we would certainly, want to talk to them about that and hear it. We had some, discussions internally that we want to make sure that we're putting something into every park, every playground, and every field, because that's where people are going to really be able to enjoy it and see it. We want to make sure that we have a program we talked about with the selectmen the other night. There was some concerned residents off of Hancock Street, and we discussed going all up and down Hancock Street and doing the crosswalks over and then cleaning them up and making sure that the signs around the signs are good and clean, and the sidewalks will be green, the crosswalks will be green with white outlines to help people identify them. We're buying signs that will flash for, if you're speeding, to help traffic control devices. We're going to look to do more bike lanes. Open Space Recreation Committee, we have applied for grants to try and get them some technical assistance to finish that plan. We've been unsuccessful to this point. We have one more opportunity that we expect to know by the end of this month, but if we do not get that grant, then we'll probably use money from this to finish that plan, because without that plan, we can't get other grants that will allow us to build trails and enhance our open space. So, but yeah, we're open to anybody who wants to, whether it's a group, again, Abington Little League came to us and said, hey, we need some money to finish one of these fields, or we have another field that sort of gets ignored and left out all the time. Can you help us out with that? John Stone, again, came and said, look, we spent all this money, and Abington Little League spent all this money on the Plymouth Street field, and then we can't water it because Rockland Abington Joint Water Works won't let us water it, so everything died. Now can we, so now we're looking into maybe putting in wells in certain areas. Griffin's Dairy, they got money to reestablish the well that was over there at some point. It's a project, we're not sure how far that'll go, but if we need to help them out, this is a perfect place to get money like this. A lot of it, what we're trying to identify, like I said, big things that are in the master plan that we really should do, that everybody's going to enjoy. Infrastructure, the roads that we are way behind on, and this will help give us a kickstart. And then a lot of the little smaller things, or But significant things, whether it's the ball field, the 2 softball fields, I think, don't have working electronic signs anymore. You know, things that people will notice, things that people will enhance and get benefit for that otherwise, if we did not have access to this money, we probably wouldn't be able to do. You know, things that come to us right now that are sort of emergency things, that it's a good thing we do have this money, air conditioning being one of them, that we would have fixed immediately, but good luck finding an HVAC technician who is available to come out and deal with this stuff, or get the piece of equipment that you need when you need it, so.
Last question on that. What would be the process for somebody to bring something to you?
Come and visit me, send me an email, call me.
Come on, bring
Chocolates, come, you know, yeah.
So, yeah, as simple as that, there's no...
It is simple as that, there's nothing formal. Again, you know, we've reached out through department heads. I've had conversations, you know, over at the senior center with Suzanne. You know, what are the enhancements that the seniors would like to see over here? And you know, number one is fix the air conditioner. You know, we've looked at, you know, whether I think we talked about the flooring. You know, the flooring has never been replaced over there, so maybe we redo the flooring. Stuff like that, so. You know, we're reaching out, and if anybody does have anything, we do encourage them to come to us. I'll be talking about it at the special town meeting, and then again at the annual, but our goal is probably to allocate as much of the money as possible before the end of this year. We'll keep a buffer in there, but we want to make sure that we have a plan for it, to avoid any sort of clawback or any issues from the federal government saying, look, if you're not going to use it.
And when do we have to use it by?
2 years?
We have to dedicate the monies by the end of '24 and then spend it by the end of '26.
We can do that. And really, like I said, the thing, we probably would have been a lot further along, but I really wanted the capital improvement plan to be done before making any real big decisions. And the items that are identified in the master plan regarding, you know, entranceways to the town and enhancements to the downtown areas are big scope projects that we probably need to bring a consultant on first before we can really develop them, so.
In the Plymouth County, the 3.2 million, how are we tracking that?
Well, Andrew's tracking everything, but we haven't spent anything out of there yet. So, but Andrew's following, he's got spreadsheets for everything. The process when we go through there is a little daunting, and that's kind of, they have very strict controls. You'd probably like it. They have some, you know, what's the name of the firm? They have an auditing firm that makes sure that not only do we meet those categories that they have, but that we also follow the federal procurement guidelines on prior to spending, which has led to a bit of a snafu with our street sweeper, because that was procured through state guidelines, and, you know, things don't always match up, so. We're working through it, and, you know, we're pretty confident. You know, the easy thing to do with the Plymouth County one is just to put out a huge infrastructure project, and here we go. I can do $3.2 million in one package and enhance all my stormwater and roads above it and say goodbye. But I really would like to get work done on that master plan, because otherwise, you know, we have to find a way to fit that in somehow. It's just there, and nobody's got that charge, and there is why you need a planner. That is somebody who would have been following that and pushing that charge from, you know, the day that plan was complete, you know, right up to now.
And does the school have ARPA money?
School has it's not called ARPA, it's I think it.
They have their own buckets of money that are related to it.
And is there any CARES money? Has that already been used up?
CARES has been completed.
Yeah, okay.
There are a couple projects, though, because we work really close with the school. Those buildings are basically our buildings. You know, if we don't take care of them, they're going to end up in our capital. So there are some projects that they've come to us. Beaverbrook Gymnasium, they would like to do the floor. We finished the floors. Apparently, they haven't been refinished in a long time. There's some electrical issues. They want to do an HVAC survey. You know, that's some of the thing I had mentioned that I think we need to do on all the buildings. So there are a lot of little projects that are kind of out there queuing up that we're trying to decide, you know, whether they fit into this or whether they should just fit into our budget going forward as part of our, you know, next 4 or 5 year plan too, as just part of operating. So, those are the decisions we'll be making. We'll be bringing, you know, some of them to this board. You're gonna have to make, you know, work with us on them.
Any other questions on this, on the liaison report?
I did one. So the Mass Municipal Association had this article about the changes in the cannabis law that the governor signed into sometime in August. How does that impact, is that going to impact us negatively?
I'm totally listening. I'm just waiting, I'm waiting for somebody to tell us how many millions we've made. I just assume that's how we're going to answer.
So, yeah, what it will do, it'll make it very difficult. So there is a community impact fee that's baked into all of the host community agreements, and the community impact fee is 3% of their gross sales. So as you saw, Bud's recently came in and handed us a check for $2,807,000. We also receive and benefit from a 3% local tax that we get through the state, through DLS or
Department of Revenue.
Department of Revenue. So that comes quarterly. And that stays the same, that won't change. That was, you know, approximately $300,000 also. The new legislation would make it very difficult for us to just take 3% additional, that community impact fee, without us actually justifying the expense. We can no longer put it in as a percentage, just a flat percentage. We could put it in as a reimbursement for expenses related to that particular business up to a certain amount, but we also would have to track it and justify it. And that would be really difficult to do.
Can I just on the math that you just gave there? You just said they came in and gave us 2.8 million, which is 3% of their gross
I never
sales.
said that.
Oh.
You said you were listening.
I thought you just said 2.8 million.
Did I?
Yeah,
You said
a check for 2.8 million.
Not a check for 2.8.
Not-
Their
I was like, wow, these guys are really,
So they gave us,
their take.
got it,
Move on,
got it, got it. You don't even have to keep going.
They brought in.
Yeah, I got you.
well,
Yeah.
we.
Our portion of that.
Yeah, we got total between the 3% from the state and then the 3%
it.
impact fee was about $600,000.
Perfect.
That, in the future, will probably only be the money coming in from the state. And that will be for all, right now, we have at least 5 entities that we're in agreement with. 1, maybe 2 more look like they're ready to open by the end of the year. But that being said, I don't know that the business will increase proportionally, or if there's only...
Spread out.
Yeah.
There's a study on it. They've written about it. The more stores you open,
The water it down.
Yeah. So, but again, we weren't in, or at least Andrew and I never really counted on that money for, it was never put in as revenue, it was never considered as revenue. If anything, we thought we would use it to kickstart or help out with our first year of the capital improvement plan. Right now, we're not doing anything with it. We're just going to sit on the money and see what happens. There could be attempts to claw back on it. We really don't know because the legislation, although it was lobbied that we, through the MMA and actually KP Law said, could you at least clarify it, that you shouldn't be able to go back on previous agreements and HCA's. They were a little vague on the way at the end that, they may be able to do so. So that being said, it is a shame. I mean, everybody who entered into the agreements with us did so with the good faith.
Believing.
Yeah, and they came in and sold us that bill of goods that it's great for you, it's great for us, we'd love to sign that HCA. Nobody said to me we shouldn't, nobody said take that 3% out. But here we are. Again, even at the local sales tax option, it's still, it's revenue for the town.
Yeah.
It's revenue that, every year we do talk about the fact that we have to find ways to generate revenue to keep up with some of the expenses, or we're going to be in trouble. The biggest one, for years, it was healthcare. Healthcare costs were going up much higher than we have the ability to raise revenue. And it's no longer healthcare. Everybody seems to have got a hold on it. But now we have our old friend, trash and recycling. It is.
Rearing its ugly head.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
You mean trash?
It's all trash.
A lot of trash talk.
Not trash talk. So that's where we're
Can we
at.
please save trash talk for another meeting?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not on the agenda tonight.
It's all part of the liaison report.
Not tonight.
Anything else, Scott?
That's all I got for you.
Okay, so there is no correspondence, and I do not have any minutes for us to review.
Did you open the MMA letter? Was it a bill? Did you give it to me?
I gave it to Matt.
Did you give it to me?
Yeah, I gave
All
it
right,
to you last
I'm sure I left it with Nancy then. I'll double check.
It was
The dues? Okay.
No minutes to review, so that wraps up our agenda for this evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned.